Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. This is episode 20 of the Interplanetary Voyage Season 2. And today a great question and mystery shall be revealed. The question of what is the purpose of life, universe and everything shall be answered. Well, technically, not really, but we will be launching our SPL Classified Number 1. So, I have deliberately held off on showing you the Kerbal engineering episode for this craft because this has been, due to its nature, a classified project in its creation and until the launch. So I will be showing you the episode of Kerbal engineering, how this one was built, after this episode, after we launch it and after it completes its mission. It's so secret that we had to be really secretive, even in terms of names, not to uncover it. Only its designation will actually give you a hint on what it is about. And for this important and historic mission that we will be undertaking we only want our finest pilots. And with finest pilots, we will be taking on, I believe, Valentina as the mission commander, because she has not yet been on many missions, so we want ultimately Val to be on the mission. So we want to take Valentina as pilot. Okay. Then we want to be putting another engineer, and I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Elbart. And then we need additional scientists. And Matthew, congratulations, you will be on the roster for this historic mission. So, you will be the scientist that will be launching, wait for it, in our very own, first of its kind, Dream Chaser. So, as you can see, this is a nighttime launch. I'll actually maybe launch it in the dawn, I'm not sure, but this is a Dream Chaser and this is the first one of its kind that I've built, and we have blast off and we have successful launch. We have cleared the tower. Great. And the purpose of this Dream Chaser is basically to be a dual stage to orbit. By the way, guys, I'm perfectly aware that there exists a mod which is called the Dreamer, which I would very much like for the author, if he sees this video, to update, because I really love that mod and I would love to play with it. But okay, back to this mission. We are shooting straight for the orbit, and as you can see, the sun has already peaked. Valentina, Elbart and Matthew Kerman, one pilot, one engineer and one scientist. The mission that we'll be undertaking today is we will be investigating what happened to our warp probe. So, the last thing we know about our warp probe is that it actually was supposed to go to Eve, but due to the engineering error in terms of, or not engineering error, but error in terms of piloting, we have set a little bit of a too long of a burn, 100 seconds instead of 10. And it basically escaped our control and went into the unknown. Last known position where we were be able to track it was somewhere between Duna and Joule, but calculating on its burn time, we have estimated that it has ended up somewhere around between Urlum and Plock in terms of orbits. Oops. Okay. So, sorry for that. Anyway, we are pitching for the atmosphere, and I really want to have a little bit higher apoapsis. And let's just see for the circularization. Yeah, now you give me trajectories. Where were you in the last episode when I was struggling with trying to get an aero capture around Duna? Yeah. Okay. Delete on close, and then we will be performing the circularization, and we will be also, once we circularize, we will also be burning for the higher apoapsis. Because in order to really find out what has happened with our warp probe, we need a warp ship to do so. And as dinky as this little Dream Chaser looks like, guys, this is a warp ship. It is using the 0.625 Alcubierre drive, and I really had to make it the Dream Chaser size because that was the only thing that I could fit in the damn warp bubble. So I thought it would be really cool to make something of a, epic style of the episode. And for that, we had to classify it so that basically information about the ship or its mission doesn't leak to the potential saboteurs. Well, technically it's KSP, so we don't have any saboteurs apart from me piloting it, but yeah, I wanted to protect it for myself. The point why we're using Dream Chaser rather than another probe is we saw when we engaged the warp drive, we basically were constantly escaping the signal. So whatever command we sent onwards, it became highly impractical to control the probe, which is something when you're playing with remote tech and going into the warp territory was a completely new thing, and it was a new thing for me as well. So, first, let's do the burn. And I want to just basically circularize to a degree, and then we will be pitching to get to a higher orbit. So, just burning a little bit. Great. So we have a circular orbit, and then we will be performing another burn where we will shoot out in the higher orbit, and that's the 1.5 orbit of Kerbal, that's roughly 1200. And now we need to finally go for our mission and find where is our probe to begin with. And you can see it a little bit here. I'm just trying to rotate and see if I can see it somewhere. It's so far out that it is... Oh, there we go. Warp probe, set as target. By the way, guys, one thing to note. Given the, I believe, law of motion preservation, we won't be able to, rendezvous with the probe. But we will be coming within the communications range of the probe and try to basically download the telemetry from it, see how it went, what happened to it, etc. before we finally set it on the auto-destruct sequence, because we don't want this technology to end up in the wrong hands. Okay, so time to add a maneuver, which will basically take us into the 1000 kilometer orbit. 1011, it doesn't need to be really precise. And I will be using still the booster to do so, because this craft, apart from having an Alcubierre drive, has abysmally low delta V. It has 444 roughly meters per second of conventional thruster, so it's basically just enough so it could deorbit it itself once we get back. So pointing the maneuver prograde, and the reason why I'm having the Kerbals, as I said, is because I really want to be able to control the throttle and to be able to make a series of hops and adjust my trajectory midway. So that is the main point anyway. Okay, we will be renaming it Spaceplane, the Eye of Ra. Like I said, Egyptian mythology, and I believe since this one has the warp drive, it is the Eye of Ra because it can go and see places and see what nobody else can see, because the Eye of Ra sees everything. Okay. Let's see, that's pretty much as far as my knowledge of Egyptian mythology goes a little bit, although I really love Egyptian mythology, I must say, but this comes also as an inspiration from if you watched Stargate, the movie, and yeah. Okay, setting up for the maneuver node, and 3, 2, 1, burn. Beautiful screenshot, I actually might use it. Oh, and there we go. Stage. Beautiful. I really love the look of the Dream Chaser. Screenshot for posterity. Okay, closing it up as much as I can. Beautiful sunset. Definitely a worthy picture. Okay. Now, with that thing in mind, as the sun has set, it is time that we go on our merry way towards our apoapsis. Okay, slightly, let's just point towards target. That's the first thing, and our target is, as I mentioned, our first warp probe. This is a second type of the test of the warp technology, because what we are missing for the truly interstellar travel is the high delta V that I'm hoping to be provided with carborundum fuel once our carborundum tanker returns, and then we will maybe have a chance to use more advanced designs that will be able to take us places. Okay, coming up, and we are hitting 1000, lining up with the maneuver node marker. It's always hard when you are a little bit in this view. Okay, let us now open up our cargo bay and reveal our warp drive. Perfect. Warp reactor enabled. Exposing the coils, reactor core online, and time to be leaving Kerbal. Starting slowly, hitting the accelerator by a little bit, more, and hammer it. Okay, our warp field is stable and we are at warp 1. Already escaping the Kerbal sphere of influence. Beautiful. Leaving Kerbal far behind, we are slowly accelerating to the, I believe, double speed of light, and as far as the specifications go, this can go up to the 4 times of speed of light. So, a little bit different presentation when it comes to how are we taking on in terms of we are burning directly for the target and hitting the gas 80%. That's roughly warp, let's say warp 4, and the full one being warp 5, paying an homage to the episodes of Star Trek Enterprise. Our warp field is stable and we are going nicely. Beautiful. This is a huge step for Kerbal's venturing into the stars. Imagine just what we will do for our exploration and research, the ability to quickly travel to different stars and planets. I'm not saying I'm going to use it always, but it has shown highly impractical for the probes, but very, very useful when going with the manned craft, because all of this is happening in a very, very short period of time. So we don't take years to travel, and we are approaching on our warp probe. I'm just making sure that I come within the communications range of it. By the way, I don't have anything relay or anything set up here. It's just a matter of coming close enough, basically killing the gas, and just reading a telemetry data from it. So let's close up on the maneuver node, on our probe. And we have the probe within the communications range. Beautiful. Okay. Perfect. Time to take the reading from it. Elbart, do your thing. Please do read the values from the probe and what it says. Let's temporarily close off our warp drive. Make sure that it cools. Okay, we have collected some science and some reports from it. Let's just say, for the sake of gameplay, that this has really been the case that this science data was really the data from the probe. And now we will be burning back to Kerbal, because, guys, this ship has to come back. So this is just a short test flight to test the warp technology. How does it affect Kerbals? How can we, go and travel among the stars? And also, how much delta V we really need when we return. Will we need a lot? Will we be even able to return to Kerbal? These are all questions that these three brave souls, Valentina, Elbart, and Matthew, are trying to answer. Kicking once again, 50%, and we are back at warp 5. We are coming back to Kerbal. Okay. Approaching Kerbal at high warp. Let's see if we can see how we are approaching it. I mean, this should look pretty interesting given the high warp that it is. Okay. Coming up on Kerbal. Okay. We have to make sure that we do get an encounter. And I have no idea, guys, how to do that, because this is the first time I'm flying a warp ship with having some actual control of it. So, okay, and we already have an encounter with Kerbal here. But that encounter would happen when? If I stay on this trajectory, encounter would happen, let's say when. I'm looking, by the way, for my tech life support. Ah, there it is. The problem is we only have food for 2 days, so that means no waiting for us to align with Kerbal, but we will be burning once again directly to Kerbal. And I mean, we have a warp ship, we can definitely do that. So, okay. coming ever so closer on Kerbal, and we seem to be having an encounter pretty soon. Just make final adjustments. I believe I see already Kerbal on the horizon, and ooh, we have to be really careful in terms of speed that we are going towards Kerbal so that we don't just fly by. And I also need to be careful as to which direction I'm burning or translating so that I come into a favorable orbit so that I can actually, aero brake and then finally get landed back on Kerbal. Beautiful approach. Okay, now let's see how does our approach look like. Okay. Well, if we continue burning, it seems that our approach is improving. Oh, and we have periapsis, so now the point is that we just decrease the periapsis and the apoapsis. So we have to burn a little bit orbit retrograde and also, I believe, radially inward so that we actually push. Because, still if we continue that way, we will be way past 2-3 days, at which point our Kerbals will starve and die. So we have to be really careful. This is not a ship that is equipped for the longer voyages. This is just ship built for speed rather than longevity. Okay, so periapsis, I'm still burning radially inwards in the hope of reducing the periapsis and also the apoapsis so that by the time and in such effect killing our orbital period as well. Okay, and burning a little bit more towards Kerbal. Periapsis height minus 250. I would actually prefer to have it in the aero brake region, so I need to fiddle a little bit more with it. Let's see, how do we do it? Okay, let's see. If we burn towards... We have to be careful not to come to the exclusion zone of the 800 or 900, because if we come there, then we have basically killed our warp capability and probably our Kerbals, because if we come too steep from that return, we won't be able to, Okay, so burning ever so carefully to really increase our periapsis and decrease our apoapsis, which is both that is going on when going orbit retrograde. And okay, and I believe our apoapsis height is around 23 and periapsis is 23 or 40, let's put it to 45, and we will be there in 45 minutes. Perfect. So guys, we are actually in the roughly the same orbit which we left. Everybody is happy. Valentina, Elbart and Matthew are all clapping because they have returned home and they know within the next hour they would hopefully be recovered and telling stories of their miraculous voyage. But then again, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have to return and land. And so far this has been one of my weak points when it comes to space planes, more or less. So let's see how we will fare this time, and obviously going on the dark side would not be my preferred landing of choice, but then again we will just have to accept that the fact that we are going on this side, and what can you do? Okay, already starting to come into the atmosphere, making sure I've increased a little bit, the contrast so that you guys actually, or increase the lighting so that you guys can see what's going on, rotating the camera to a favorable position, and it is time for our aero brake. We are coming in a little bit hot, but then again it's nothing really major. I'm also not sure if we will need one pass or two passes to be able to land. So our periapsis is a little bit on the high-ish side. But anyway, it will be good because it will reduce our apoapsis. And we have 2 days off. And I've just decided to engage my Landertrons, retro rockets, because I thought it would be kind of handy to quickly decrease my velocity. This was intended by design to quickly decelerate when re-entering, and avoid maybe getting blown up due to the re-entry heating. However, it seems that we are already picking up vertical speed, which means we will be coming in for the second pass. Okay, no harm, no foul. So far, it seems that our little Dream Chaser is performing admirably. 2611 when it comes to orbital velocity. I guess that's fine. Okay, and yeah, our apoapsis has significantly reduced, but we're not there yet. So yes, this is definitely something to keep in mind. Okay, come on. I'm just waiting until I exit the physics acceleration to be able to make another pass. And this time I'm hoping that we would be landing on this pass. Maybe, who knows? Oh no, we will be flying over the KSC. I was hoping too soon that we would be basically landing at KSC. I should be only so lucky. Okay, and re-entering the atmosphere right about now-ish. With both of our air brakes deployed and just making sure that we can safely but surely re-enter. "60 kilometers and decreasing." Let's do the crew report. Because the crew needed to report what really has happened in terms of our warp probe. When we were out in the void of space, we didn't have this big communication dishes, so that we couldn't report back to Kerbal. So we had to return close and then report. So when we were far out, our 3 brave Kerbonauts were on their own. Okay, pitching our nose up, just making sure that we are aligned for maximum body aero braking as we can. 30 to 40 degrees, making sure that we are braking as efficiently as we are, and it seems, yes, we will be definitely landing on this orbital pass, which is great. Okay, I'm just definitely not sure at which point, however, we shall see that. $2,200, and these are more like normal deorbit velocities when we are going with the rocket, so space planes shouldn't be any different. We shouldn't be experiencing any damage to heating because they should be designed to withstand this much. However, if we maintain a too steep of a profile, we always risk extensive damage. Okay, however, we are having a very, very shallow. We are even bouncing a little bit on the atmosphere. So until we slow down significantly, and then we will be just pitching nose down until we pick up a little bit velocity and hopefully level off in a little bit more controlled manner. I mean, that's the descent profile that I had in mind for this little ship. Honestly, guys, I have no idea how to re-enter a Dream Chaser, but so far it seems stable enough. and everything else apart from my ship is pitch black. Okay, yeah, that was because I was flying over the seaside. Now we can see some sort of surface thingies, so I guess we will be coming over the surface, which is great. Okay, decelerating ever so carefully. We don't want our negative vertical speed to be going over 100, because then we really do risk damage due to re-entry heating. I am a little bit concerned that we are only flying over the sea. But you know, we'll take it what we can get. Previously our Buran landed successfully into the sea. I see no reason for this Dream Chaser not to. Although it will be a little bit more damage done, and you know, when it comes to repairs and stuff, when we are recovering things from the water, especially with technology as expensive as Alcubierre drive. But okay. Slowly but surely decelerating. By the way, guys, I'm showing this at 2.5 times time acceleration roughly. I didn't want to show it too slow or too quickly because I think it's an interesting mission, despite the fact that we are burning in the atmosphere for the time being. The main question is, will we be able to successfully return Valentina, Elbart, and Matthew back to the KSC? Okay, 28 kilometers periapsis. We are already now in the regions where we can fly with ramjets, turbojets, and others. However, as I said, this ship only has 2 small RCS thrusters, which would be basically equivalent to the real Dream Chaser's OMS. And we have burnt enough speed to actually, so that the heating is no longer a problem, but now we have Mach, which is the problem, or Ferrum Aerospace Research, which is, we are going roughly at Mach 3, and I'm trying to, oh boy. Okay, air brakes. I think that those are actually keeping us stable. Whew, okay. You know, guys, at this speeds, I was really worried that the Ferrum Aerospace Research or FAR would basically disintegrate the ships the moment we get into the flow, but we were still well enough with the flow, so I am gonna cartwheel like there is nothing really specially going on, yes. And then enter a flat spin, sure. That's my plan all along. You know, guys, I really haven't got the idea why is this craft so much spinning. I have checked the FAR stability derivatives. It's not the world's most stable craft, I'll tell you that much. Oh, and 2 parachutes have broken. Oh boy, we have a real drama on our hands. Are the 2 parachutes which have opened up good enough for us? Okay, we are gliding on the front nose, we are gliding with the chutes, and on the rear we are gliding with the oh boy, we're gliding with the wings. Okay, this is gonna be fun. And we are definitely landing in the sea, so yeah, surface velocity does concern me a little bit. By the way, these chutes were my backup plan. We just, hit the chutes and hopefully, be none the wiser, we can actually land this damn thing. Okay, the chutes have opened and our vertical velocity has decreased to 5.3. Whew. Okay. I mean, I'm still worried that the cockpit might slam at a little bit too high of a speed against the water. so I consider that one to be a risk, but I feel more confident that now my 3 Kerbals will eventually survive this encounter, so to say. Really, it would be a shame for like the first warp mission to go amiss. Yeah, I just realized I actually said that. Okay. Anyway, 100 meters to go. Everybody's holding their breath, especially since they're landing in the water. Valentina, Elbart, and Matthew, and splashdown. Oops, and... Okay, the ship is mostly intact. Beautiful. Which means we can actually go and recover it. I mean, yeah, it's typical Kerbal landing. So, recovering the vessel, and okay. So, welcome back, and we got some ribbons. Yay! Valentina, Delta V and Sun Orbit ribbon, and Elbart and Matthew. Great work, you guys. Thank you very much for actually participating in this mission. You will be also awarded for your bravery, but that will be coming in the next episode. And until then, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Hit like if you like, and subscribe for more KSP content that will be coming soon. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks and bye.